Real happiness and peace comes from solitude. It comes from being alone, learning the art of being alone. I know that a lot of us, the idea of being alone petrifies us. It scares us. And we can associate being alone with lonely. But they're two different things. Learning to be alone, learning to embrace solitude is a practice that can change your life. From someone who had people always surrounding me all the time, I didn't know what it meant to be alone. But when I did, when I discovered, when I learned to be alone, let me tell you, it's changed my life. Practicing solitude, embracing alone time is such a beautiful thing that I've learned for self-discovery, for growing, for getting away from the noise in the world. Being alone, embracing solitude, can help you live your most authentic life, away from society's expectations and pressure. You get to be you, discover who you are. Why do so many of us confuse being alone and loneliness? They're two different things, my lovelies. First of all, we need to understand being lonely is, most of the time, it's not from choice. It's when you're forced to be isolated. If you think about it, when we were young, when we were at school, if we were naughty, the teacher would usually instruct us to go to the corner away from the rest of the children. That's your punishment, to be alone, away from everything else. So we've associated being alone, that means to be lonely, isolated, as a punishment. And people do suffer from loneliness, but it's most of the time, as I said, it's from situations out of their control. Maybe it's because of the death of a loved one in a family and one person has been left alone. Maybe it's because someone has lost their job. All of these factors is usually out of one's control, which leads them to become lonely and isolated. But being alone is different. Being alone is when one person chooses to be alone by choice, because that's where they can flourish. That's where they get their energy. And that's why I really encourage you, if you are someone who finds yourself alone, to not be scared. Instead, see this time period as precious, as something to embrace, as something that's a gift that not everyone gets, that you will get to tap into, to discover yourself. Self-exploration. When you can practice being alone, you will see the changes in your life. I can assure you. There's so many benefits to embracing solitude and finding peace and happiness in solitude, because the truth is, we are born alone and we are going to die alone. I know that sounds a little dramatic, but it's the truth. And you spend the most time with yourself, so you need to be happy on your own, and then all the other relationships in your life will flourish. I promise. You will become a magnet. Everyone will want to be a part of you because you love yourself and being on your own, and you love your own company. I've got some few points I want to share with you. The benefits and the advantages of embracing time alone. The first one I've already tapped into a little bit. Being alone means this is when you can go inwards. this is when you can step away from society expectation of you, the family pressures. We all get influenced by people who we spend time with. It's inevitable. We are social creatures. We as human, it's normal for us want to fit in. It's inherently in our belief system to want to belong to a community. We want to please our parents. We want to please our teachers when we were young at school. We want to please our boss. We want to be part of a community. We want to feel belonged and liked. And that's why sometimes this can put pressure on us to be a certain way. When you learn to be on your own, to get away from society pressure and expectation, that's when you learn to think for yourself, to make up your own mind about your life, not relying on family, on work colleagues, on friends for your decisions. It's all well and good, I get it, sometimes we have that support, but really, truly, when you tap in to be alone, you will discover what you really want and what's right for you without the influence of society pressure and tradition and culture. This is when you will really discover, do I really want to do this, or am I doing this to please my family, to please my work, my boss? When you spend time alone, you will care less about what people think. And that's why it's going to be easy for you to say no to things that don't bring you value. It doesn't mean you're going to become a mean person. It means that you understand your values, you understand the things that are important to you, and you're not going to bother wasting time on things that are not. You become strong mentally, you become resilient, you become powerful, and you become at peace with who you are, and you don't feel the need to impress others. When you get to that point, when you embrace being alone, you get to that point, excuse me, when you are happy being alone, you will become unstoppable, you will become unbothered. People will not bother you as much because you are comfortable with who you are. You're comfortable with your authentic self. You can be your authentic self unapologetically. You're not going to do things just to please others and what society expects of you. When you are alone, this is time you can really appreciate downtime, appreciate your own time to recharge, to just take a moment, because this is when you will be more of a value to others and those around you. When you take some downtime, this will give you energy to give back to the world, to give back to the people that need you the most. But first, you need to prioritize some time alone so that you can recharge. Just like our phones, it needs to be switched off sometimes to recharge the battery. You know, it's the same way. We're not a machine. Sometimes we need to just get away from it all and recharge ourselves so that we can come back with more energy, with better energy for the people that need us. It's by being alone you can reflect and see if things are right for you or not. Are you being misguided? Are you getting carried away? It's by being alone when you know if something is true for you or not. And that's what I've discovered, that the precious times of being alone will let you know what you truly want and truly desire, and to stick to those things that you want and not get swayed by what other people want or carried away by situations, because that's what we can do. And it's by being alone you can practice realigning with your vision, with your goals, and what really matters to you, and not waste time on things that are distracting you. They often say that writers, creators, inventors, artists, they need time alone. This is the time they flourish. And I think this says a lot. If you are someone who wants to tap into your creativity, practicing being alone is going to be a game changer for you, because being alone helps you to think freely. This is when you can do things, run your imagination wild without the fear of being criticized, without the fear of being ridiculed by society. That's why they say a lot of creatives need to be alone, because it's during the alone time they can think, they get ideas. It's by being alone they can be original, they can be authentic. So being alone can also have that advantage if you are someone who wants to be more creative or whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be a super inventor. It can be simple as being creative as cooking, learning to cook new dishes. Being alone will help you be more focused, be more creative with your own thoughts. It's a precious time for you to think clearly, a precious time for you to think of things that you wouldn't have if you are surrounded by people, because often when we are surrounded by people, we are scared about their judgment and what they are going to think. So being alone helps you to just think freely, go wild in your mind and do the things that you want to do without being scared about what people are going to think. How can you practice being alone? I think you don't have to jump into the deep end and spend a month alone. No, it doesn't have to be like that. And not everyone is in the situation to be alone completely. We have families, maybe we have responsibilities. I get that. The way you can practice is by small steps. It doesn't have to be big. It could be spending half an hour doing yoga a day, or it could be going to walk in the park. Nature is the best place to explore being alone with your mind on your own. It could be 20 minutes a day. It could be 20 minutes a week. Practice being alone just for small amounts and then build it up. Trust me, when you start practicing being alone, you will realize that afterwards, when you go back into society and mix with everyone, your friends, your family, you will slowly start appreciating that time you spend on your own, because you will realize how much it recharges you, how much it makes you feel better. But that will only happen if you start practicing. In the beginning, it may be hard to be alone, but small baby steps, 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, an hour a week, whatever it may be. If you can practice being alone, it will make you become someone who's not always dependent on others for happiness. You won't be needy in a relationship. It will help you create better relationships. It will benefit you in so many ways. Your mind, your soul, you will be a better person for the world because you'll be recharged. I encourage you to think differently about being alone and to see the benefits of it, not to be scared of it. Embrace it if you are in a position of being alone. Share with me your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you've enjoyed this video and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Take care. Bye.